Hey! Hey there! Today I'm going to give you the summary of the recently concluded dev livestream and my thoughts about it. Let's start right away by talking about the new ultimate Descendant, Yujin. Basically, the base Descendant got some improvements that generally reduce the enemy's resistances and increases critical hit rate and critical damage as a buff. They also improve his overall firearm buffs, movement speed buffs, and skill usability. It wasn't shown in the dev live, but these are improvements to his base abilities. For Ultimate Yujin's story, it will be as dark and gruesome as Ultimate Sharon's story, and it mainly explores the idea of a human living as a Vulgus or dying as a human. We might be exploring deeper as to what happened to his team, or something similar might happen again. For his abilities, his first Transcendent module is called Combat Protocol, which uses HP to deal modify skill power damage while utilizing buffs and debuffs. The passive ability is called Survival Protocol that basically just heals Yujin at a certain HP threshold. It has 2 stacks overall that reduces Yujin's cooldown per 5000 HP. It doesn't specify whether the cooldown reduction is only to his passive or if it applies to all his abilities. Yujin's first ability now deals damage to the enemies. This uses HP as a resource upon casting and continuously. You have a chance to gain your HP back when you defeat an enemy. Increasing your range will increase the target count, and it wasn't mentioned in the live, but I believe that you gain 15% skill power per 10% missing HP. Yujin's second ability is called Restructive Compound that still works similar to the base second ability, but it doesn't deal an AoE damage when an enemy is defeated. Instead, you gain a buff that increases your firearm attack and fire rate. Shooting the inflicted enemy with your firearm will recover Yujin and only Yujin's HP at a 0.4 second interval based on your skill power ratio. Yujin's third ability is now an AoE damage ability that again uses HP as a resource. It looks similar to Haley's Cold Heart 4th ability, but you have a chance of obtaining HP when defeating the enemy. Again, I believe you gain 15% power ratio per 10% missing HP. The 4th ability is called Emergency Decontamination that removes the drone cast animation and casts the ability immediately, but this ability now only applies to Yujin alone. This grants firearm and skill critical hit damage, firearm and skill power increase, movement speed, and debuff immunity, while healing you for a massive 82.9% of your max HP. The next Transcendent module is called Battlefield Medic that increases offensive capabilities when buffing allies. Every time Yujin grants buffs to allies depending on the level of bonding through obtaining bonding energy, Tier 1 reduces cooldown, grants skill critical hit rate and damage. Tier 2 increases the value from 10% to 15%. Tier 3 increases the value from 15% to 30%. So it is massive amount at Tier 3. I have a speculation that this works like Harris's passive ability, where you will need to gain and consume bonding energy to keep all 3 buffs up. And if it works the same way, that's a massive 55% buff to critical hit rate base, 55% cooldown reduction, and 55% crit damage modifier. First ability is called Bioreactive Round that launches a guided round to heal the targeted ally based on your skill power ratio for a maximum of 24.9% of the target's max HP. The second ability is called Deploy Regenerative Wave that launches a slow-moving drone to heal allies and buff skill power and firearm attack while dealing damage to affected enemies. The third ability is called Bonding Amplification that increases Yujin's movement speed, skill power increase by a massive 55%, skill range, and fire rate by a ridiculous 25% by using both mana and bonding energy. The fourth ability also creates a slow-moving drone that restores allies' HP, increased damage reduction, while dealing massive amounts of damage and elemental resistance reduction to the affected enemies. Overall, his Transcendent modules look like it could be good for mobbing. I already have a lot of build ideas for both modules this time, and I can't wait to test my theories and workarounds. But looking at the footage, the flat bonuses to cooldown reduction and crit rate, damage output, and even fire rate, it's looking great. This is Yujin's premium skin? No comment. The Forbidden Sanctuary is a new dungeon which can be accessed similarly to how we access the Supermassive Receptor dungeon. This dungeon was discovered in Axion as an experimental facility for the Legion of Truth. So it has the white and gold look into it, coupled with abomination creeps similar to how Biolab looks like. The new boss is called Abandoned Fusion Form, created by combining human and Vulgus gene, and it is a toxic attribute enemy. I am quite hyped for this boss, knowing how much I also like Pattern Flores from the Supermassive Receptor. And I hope that this boss has some cool mechanics, a lot more difficult, and a lot less repetitive. You will also be able to farm 10 Ancestor module per week, just like the Supermassive dungeon. For the new Abyss boss, it's a variant of Deathstalker called Grim Reaper. That looks menacing and cool. I bet the reward skins will also look good. Grim Reaper is a toxic attribute boss that retains some of Deathstalker's ability, and it also looks like the boss has a lot of mechanics, as the devs mentioned that this boss can't be defeated just by raw damage. I bet this boss works similar to Ice Maiden, where we receive buffs when we achieve a mechanic. It could either be skills or firearm, but from the looks of it, abilities are dealing a lot more damage. For the skins, it looks amazing. I'm a huge rogue or assassin girl, and I can see using this skin for Sharon. For the new external component set, we have the Sprint Accelerator set, which synergizes with abilities that has continuous damage and electric abilities. When conditions are met, you will receive a bonus to electric skill power and heals your mana by 5% per 5 seconds. We will also be receiving 3 new trigger modules. First is the Infected Weapon that synergizes with abilities that has continuous damage. This inflicts Archaea Infection on the target that deals bonus damage per second over 5 seconds. Additionally, you will also deal bonus damage when hitting the enemy using your unique weapon like Freyna's Venom Bop Bidi or her 4th skill. There is no mention of any cooldown, so you might be able to trigger the effect as long as you deal continuous damage, which is extremely good for Freyna. The second trigger module is called Ground Eruption that synergizes with Ground TOT abilities. When triggered, this ability deals damage based on your skill power, which grants bonus damage to elites, champions, and even colossus. The last trigger module is called Instant Acceleration that grants movement speed buffs to Descendants with movement restriction type abilities. There will also be new modules for swords, which caters to crit and additional attack builds for both impact and high-powered round weapons. The next monthly balance is for Ajax. Just like Haley, who received massive improvements, Ajax will also get his share of reworks and rebalancing. For the base abilities, Ajax's first ability now receives a bonus damage multiplier to launchers based on defense. The ability now also has more reflection damage based on skill power and can increase its damage based on defense. Enemies that are hit by first ability will be inflicted with a debuff. Hitting that enemy will instantly reload your weapon, which improves your firearm's average shot drastically. Ajax's 4th ability buffs defense to himself and allies and weakens the attacks of affected enemies. There are also changes to Ajax's Void Explosion Transcended module, which essentially just increases his damage output using his 3rd ability. Barrier Charge is also changed. Instead of holding the barrier, Ajax charges in to deal damage and inflict the enemies with debuffs that makes Ajax reload his weapons. Mobile Fortress also changes the 4th ability and it now surrounds Ajax. His first ability now also rotates around Ajax. Now, I'm still not too sure about his improvements though. They could have improved his mobbing capabilities even more by increasing the range of his abilities and giving Ajax some movement speed buffs. Aside from Ajax, there will also be numerical rebalances to Freyna, Valby, and Viessa's abilities. There will also be a new update called Smart Casting that will be implemented in July that enables quick casting to abilities like Valby's 2nd ability or Viessa's 4th ability. There will also be balances to weapons, Hive Master, Fallen Hope, and Truly Deadly Arson. Because of this, I will be postponing my upload for Hive Master, which I already had figured out, but thankfully I haven't uploaded a build for it yet. Aside from the planned firearm rebalancing, the devs also shared to us what their direction is for the firearms, knowing the fact that weapons have been unpopular due to the massive weapon resistances right now. They plan to increase the weapon's performance by means of utilizing Descendants that synergizes with firearms like Freyna, Glay, and maybe even Haley. What I see them doing is giving bonus firearm damage based on skill power or even other stats. Because of how high the enemy resistances to weapons are right now, I don't see us using any weapons for any content any sooner. We will now also be able to trade Ancestor modules after the patch. The caliber limit per transaction will also be raised to 10,000 calibers. Ancestor modules mastery rank will also be adjusted to 25 for modules that has a requirement of 25 or more. The means of earning Ancestor modules will also be increased, as well as the Ancestor module storage. Aside from trading, there will also be improvements to the Party Finder system. I personally don't use this system, but new players may have been using this, and what changed basically is just the UI and the ability to chat in the lobby. For other improvements, new Devour Colossus will be added in Axion as a field Colossi, FSR4 support for graphic cards of Radeon RX 9000 series and above. More details for the other improvements in the patch notes soon. For the skins this December 4, we will be having new Christmas skins for Viessa, Freyna, Serena, Glay, and of course, the male universal skin. There will also be new event reward skin for Luna and Haley. There will also be new skins on December 18. Launch 2.0 has been postponed because they are going to focus more on other priorities. Instead, for December, there will be expansion that showcases achievements, vehicles, change the background music, and the ability to change guide's appearance. There is also a plan to allow the invitation of friends into your own lounge, which will come separately, not together with the December updates. Reprioritizing resources to content is actually a great move. In the previous dev live streams, they mentioned that they are going to be releasing endgame content in 2026. And I would rather have them focus on content than the lounge. They are already doing a great job with the new bosses, the new Abyss boss also looks good, and you can observe that there are going to be mechanics. So focus on giving players something to do first. Now for the roadmap. In January, monthly balance falls on Enzo, more weapon improvements, and might also be a new Axion dungeon called Breach Tracking Field. For February, probably my most hype right now, Daya will be the upcoming new Descendant, arcade tuning renewal. Are they planning to revamp the entire arcade tuning tree? More dungeons, Onslaught mode, which is the new endgame content, and basically a lot more content for February as we now go towards Season 3, Episode 3. For May, the highlight is the official release of Onslaught mode, Ultimate Azimo, and Farming Loop renewal. For Season 4, Episode 1, another new Descendant, new dungeon system, transcendent weapons, story overhaul, and people are gonna be so happy about this, Ultimate Haley. For the events, we already saw the skins earlier, the same login event, daily missions, new event for new players which rewards you with an Inez ticket, probably the strongest mobber out there, and hunting event. There will also be bonus global boosts on different regions of Ingress only during the weekend starting December 18. We'll also have a new web event that rewards us with exclusive skins. Overall, the upcoming update is okay, mainly because Yujin's new abilities looked cool and more means of acquiring Ancestor modules. What I am most excited about is the series of patch next year. Daya, Ultimate Haley, and a lot of new content. That's it for the video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!